Well, hi there, and welcome to this New Year's Eve episode of Canadian Profits TV, episode 97, our very last of 2012. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're watching this anywhere near midnight, turn it off and go have a good time. All right. Anyhow, what's going on for this week's episode? For our business breakthrough, I want to talk about the specific problem you solve for your customers. For our real estate tip, we're going to talk about something new and cool for your website. And for our mindset minute, we're going to talk about a little idea I just got from my good friend Michael McLean, from his dad actually, which is called Fail with Flair. Stay tuned. All right, so for our business breakthrough, we're going to talk about the specific problem you solve for your customers, clients, patients, etc. So if you recall, a few weeks ago we talked about what's the definition of an entrepreneur. It's someone who solves people's problems at a profit. Before that, we talked about your specific audience or your target market, those folks who you can best serve. So how can you serve those folks, and how can you serve them at a profit? By solving a very specific problem. So you need to take a look at whatever it is that your product or service does. What problem does it solve for people? What's the obvious problem, and what are some of the less obvious problems that it also solves in addition to that? And that can often be the key for really creating high impact, really noticeable, really different kind of marketing messages. So for example, I'll use rent to own as an example. So what problems do we solve for our clients, our rent to own clients? Well, the obvious problem is we solve a challenge of what do they have for shelter. They've got a place to put over, they've got a roof over their heads. But probably a much higher impact problem that we solve is the fact that they feel bad being renters, just being tenants. They feel very insecure. They don't actually own their own property. So we give them the feeling of home ownership as they're renting to own that property. So that's that secondary problem that we help solve for our clients. So whatever your product or service is, take a look at what's the primary problem this solves, or the obvious one, or what you think is the obvious one, and what are some of the behind the scenes problems that you solve as well, and how can you tie those into your marketing and your advertising messages. That's your business breakthrough for this week. All right, for our real estate tip for this week, I want to share some techno type stuff, and you know how technologically incompetent I am. However, the cool thing is, if you've got a website, that's great. You're in the 21st century. Congratulations. However, just having a website nowadays is not enough. Why not? Because everybody's checking out websites and surfing the internet and everything now on their telephones, their smartphones. So if you've got a website that's just a normal website and somebody looks it up on their telephone, chances are it's going to be teeny weeny. They're going to have to expand it. They're going to have to do all sorts of weird things to be able to see it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be pleasant for them to navigate on. So if you get yourself, which I suggest, a mobile friendly website, it's not instead of your normal website, it's in addition to your normal website, that will make it much easier for people who are using their telephone, their smartphone, or their iPads, or what have you, to see your site, to navigate your site, and to do business with you. This is very important for real estate investors. We just brought this on board with BC Rent to Buy, my rent-to-own company, and it's great because now you can get what's called a QR code, and you'll see images of these. Wagner's going to put those in there. A QR code, so somebody can just scan that with their telephone, and it immediately takes them to your website. They don't have to remember your website address. They don't have to write it down. They just take a picture of your business card, your tear tab sign, your vehicle signage, what have you, and scan the code, and bang, there's your mobile-friendly site ready for them right there. Makes a big difference. Make sure you get on it. It's the way of the future as far as internet browsing goes. That's your real estate tip, and kind of a business tip as well for this week. All right. right, so for this week's Mindset Minute, I want to talk a little bit about goals because, again, this is New Year's Eve, and what is New Year's famous for but setting goals, New Year's resolutions. And my good friend and contributing writer, Michael McLean from lovely Perth, Ontario, amazing entrepreneur, very, very sharp guy, runs the family business, an insurance agency. Doesn't get much more boring than that. However, Michael makes it very exciting. He's got a phenomenal business going. And he took the business over from his father, who was a very, very sharp entrepreneur as well. And they're all about setting goals. So what Michael does is he sits down this time of year, actually earlier, sets the goals for the following year, and he makes them big goals. He does some what he calls Hail Mary goals. So these are really, really big goals that it's going to be hard to accomplish, to be quite frank with you. They might be out of reach. But even if you go for them and you don't quite make them, you're still so much further ahead than you would be otherwise that it was definitely worth it. So he said he kind of learned this from his father, who has a saying. He says, fail with flair. Fail with flair. So what does that mean? It means go big. if you're going to go for something, make it a big, hairy, audacious goal and just go for it. And if you don't make it, it's still okay because you've got so much further than you would have otherwise. So that's your idea that's kind of the Mindset Minute leading up into the new year is make your goals. Don't make all of them just crazy big, but make a few of them a real stretch and really go for it. And even if you don't make them, you'll be so much further ahead than you are right now. That's your Mindset Minute. Enjoy your New Year's. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great time. Drive safe, all that kind of good stuff. We'll be celebrating New Year's in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta. Looking forward to that. And speaking of New Year's, if you're one of our rent-to-own students, remember the 25th, 26th, 27th of January, we've got the Rent-to-Own Profit Summit here in beautiful Kamloops, BC. Check that out at r2oprofitssummit.com. If you're a current rent-to-own cash-on-demand system student, you and a guest get to come for free. If you're not a student, you should be. Check out the website for an awesome deal and be able to come out, get the entire program, and come out to the live event too. r2oprofitssummit.com. Take care. Talk to you next week.